So, my name is Savannah. I decided to do a Netflix movie called Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. So, I decided to choose this movie because it is based on Ted Bundy and the Florida trial that he went through. And it showed so many significant changes in history when it comes to criminal cases. I personally thought that it would be the most interesting. So, in this presentation, we will talk about the publicity of the trial, forensic evidence, psychological diagnosis of Ted Bundy, eyewitness testimony, incompetence, and the outcome of Ted Bundy. So, we're going to get right into it. The publicity of this trial. Ted Bundy's Florida trial was the first to be televised nationally in the United States, making it a much bigger deal than most. It was covered by over 250 reporters from 5 different continents. Bundy absolutely enjoyed being in the spotlight, and while he represented himself in court. His murder trial remains one of the most watched trials of all time. So, because this was the first public trial, it does have a lot of effect on how the trial went, especially how it started. You can see here in the pictures what is in color is what's part of the movie, and what is in black and white is real life. These are real pictures from the real trial. Sorry, my dog. Ted Bundy was extremely charismatic on television. He loved to smile, he loved to flirt, he loved to laugh, wink at the jurors. This led to the media loving Bundy. Most of the females, I guess you could say, believed he did not commit the crime because of his personality. They would say, I don't know how a guy like this could do something like this because he's such a cool guy. Like, he's so nice, he's so cute. They fell in love with him over TV. And eventually the courtroom was filled with women, which is kind of crazy because he did he did all these messed up things to women, and all of the women in the courtroom believed him. They didn't think that he did it. So, on to the next topic, we're going to talk about forensic evidence. So, one of Ted Bundy's biggest criminal cases, the reason why this was so big was not only because there were so many girls across the country in certain states going missing or, getting murdered, but there was a sorority house, Chi Omega in Florida, and he killed 2 of them, I believe, if I remember correctly. And out of that entire house, hundreds of fingerprints were found, and none of them matched Ted Bundy's. But the biggest piece of evidence that they found were bite marks on the butt of a sorority girl. It was the key evidence. What they did was that they took a wax mold and put it into Ted Bundy's mouth to get the mold of his teeth. And they also took pictures of his teeth. They compared it to the bite marks on the sorority girl, and they matched perfectly. So, leading into this diagnosis, Ted Bundy was diagnosed with being a psychopath, psychopathy, also known as antisocial personality disorder. The definition of antisocial personality disorder: a person who is affected by a chronic mental disorder with abnormal or violent social behavior. They are usually an unstable or aggressive person. People with this disorder have a pervasive disregard for the rights of others and lack empathy. This was a huge thing that I noticed throughout the movie, especially with Ted Bundy's relationship that he had for so long, and that was portrayed in the movie. He really did seem like, the picture perfect guy, a really good guy, nothing wrong with him. But the deeper it got into the trial and the deeper the conversations got with him and his relationship, and even after they had split up, you can kind of start to see the turn on Bundy and his personality, and how much he didn't care. His relationship, like the main storyline of this movie, you can see that he had a lot of emotion within that relationship, and when it ended, he kind of went off the rails. That's kind of when I think I would like to call it when his humanity switch flipped. So in this picture, you can see Ted Bundy and Zac Efron. Zac Efron did play Ted Bundy in this movie. They look semi alike. So next up in this movie, there was eyewitness testimonies. And Nita Neary, she was a witness to Ted Bundy running out of the Chi Omega house. Now, to remind you, Chi Omega was a sorority house that this whole trial was mostly about. She was asked if she knew the person who ran out of the house and if he was in this room, in the courtroom, and she pointed across the courtroom at Bundy, and it was a huge piece of evidence. Now, in black and white, that is a picture of her actually pointing at him on national TV, and then in color, that is her today. Ted Bundy did try to do a last-minute appeal, and we did talk about this in a discussion in class and read about it in our textbook. He tried to appeal for incompetence. Now, what incompetence is that it is basically like if you are too incompetent to stand trial, then depending on the state, you're sent off to rehabilitation. And I believe that's what Bundy was looking for. Before he was executed, he tried to move for incompetence to stand trial to hopefully avoid being executed by an electric chair. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. He died by electric chair, crazy enough, with a smile on his face. And then this is a quote from Washington Post. Bundy, who was also sentenced to death for the 1978 killings of 2 Florida State University sorority sisters, has been linked to as many as 36 sex murders or disappearances of young women, most of them in Utah, Colorado, and Washington State. This is terrifying, just because it is so close. I mean, I obviously wasn't alive then, but, and it's crazy because right before he died, so many detectives, so many police officers, it was the day before he was executed, went to Ted Bundy and brought out all their cases and said, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And he admitted to every single one of them, the ones that he did. So some of my takeaways from this movie, Ted Bundy, he really was charismatic. He was funny. He made everybody laugh. He actually got the courtroom audience to cheer for him whenever he was doing something right. He took last-minute precautions in his trial and married Carol Boone. You can see that right here. So this is real Ted Bundy, and this is his wife at the time, Carol Boone, who actually did have Ted Bundy's baby. And then this is how it was portrayed in the movie. And the way that the movie reflected the actual trial is absolutely insane. Almost word for word, some of the bits and pieces of the movie some of the bits and pieces of history were included into the movie. Towards the end of the movie, you can see kind of side by side exactly what happened in real life, and you can kind of reflect on that with how it was shown in the movie. You can see right here the publicity of the trial. The camera's right there. So